Yo ho ho, my fellow pirates, and it's time to execute volume 66 of One Piece, covering chapters 647 through 656, the end of Fishman Island and the beginning of a fiery, dragony new island called Punk Hazard. I'm scared! Oh, it seems hazardous, folks. I'm Mumky D. Jones, your captain of the Beastly crew, joined as always by your vice co-captain, Aggie V. Rodriguez.
Well, welcome to the new world, and this really is a new world because this is not going to be my top of mind. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm going to throw it out just like Nathan Fielder does when he doesn't get it. That's right, top of tongue. I have been bested by Oda. He threw me a curveball for once, and well, not to say that he doesn't do that all the time, but I was so sure. How is it always? Oh, Aggie, how many more volumes do you think we have left? How many? Well, I'm saying probably 2 or 3. It's 5, 6, 7. This time I'm saying, okay, well, I could see 2. Well, obviously the plot was not see through because golly gee willikers, we are just full speed ahead in under one, and especially considering that there's a couple of heavy-handed things that are ongoing in this volume, so really more optimized perhaps, or at least faster than I would have expected. And that was something I had to mention real quick because I don't even know anymore. I'm getting thrown for loops like a big maelstrom underwater.
A white strom, yes. Yeah, it is. This volume is a bit energizing for me. I think it is the best volume of Fishman Island just because those final 6 or 7 chapters of Fishman Island here hit you with a lot of big, exciting, interesting lore to chew on and think about. Mysteries that we thought would be revealed by the end of the arc. It turns out, no. Luffy didn't destroy the island, but maybe he will someday. I was hoping we'd get an answer to that within the next couple volumes, but maybe we'll have to wait a couple decades to know what that means. And so much more. Very exciting end to Fishman Island here, considering I was a little bit bummed and bored with the last couple volumes. He picked it up here and got us into some exciting adventures and shenanigans in the new world, just like he promised. So I'm excited for volume 66, Aggie. And out of all of that, what is your actual top of mind?
Well, there's a lot to choose from. I think I'm going to say that perhaps my top of mind is the fact that the Straw Hats might have accidentally sent a bomb to one of the 4 emperors on behalf of the people who they just risked their lives and the lives of many others to defend.
A big bomb for Big Mom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big twist, but it really does feel so correct and like everything about it's organic. Nothing about it seems like it was forced in any capacity, because we've known from previous volumes here at Fishman Island, after Whitebeard was defeated in this time period, Big Mom has taken up residence on the island in order to have her sweets produced there. So they have, some imperial presence without Whitebeard. But after the Straw Hats do what they do here to make things right, Luffy has his life saved, and we'll get to all that. But they need something to recuperate. So 10 tons, that is 20,000 pounds of sweets produced at the Big Mom factory on Fishman Island. Her people come to get that pickup, and they seem to be a little lacking. And Luffy, he doesn't grovel, he doesn't beg, he doesn't play them games. He's up and at him and saying, oh yeah, what's up? I ate all 10 tons. What are you gonna do? Big Mama, that's her on the phone. Hey, what's up, bitch? Yeah, I ate that. What are you gonna do? Yeah.
I like twice in this volume he answers the phone saying, "This is Luffy, future pirate king," like just announcing that to whoever is calling.
He's got his mind locked in. He's probably very highly focused. He might be. I don't know what 20,000 pounds of sugary sweets might do to your body, but I'm sure he's probably maybe jittering and just really.
Eggie is frozen. We've lost Eggie. I used the slow me. Okay, Eggie's back. I used Foxy's fruit on you, Eggie, but you can continue.
But no, that's good. Just like Big Mom needs her ransom, Metronet. It is bill day, but I did pay it this morning, so hopefully no interruptions on their accord.
What did you think of our first look at Big Mom?
Jabba the Hutt mode, a little bit maybe. I don't know. Jabba the Mother.
Oda is really, he's letting us know that human sizes can vary immensely. Like, Whitebeard is one thing, but Big Mom looks like a fucking giant hulking beast of a woman compared to, like, just normal sized people are standing next to her, and she's like on this giant throne like a King Kong monster.
Yeah, because I mean, even Watamatsu was the monk, right? That we is now exiled because he couldn't fit into any of the restraints that they put up for the other.
Yeah, he's definitely bigger than Big Mom, but like, he's not a human.
Okay, that's fair. And I'll take Big Mom. Everything, especially moving into the new world, I have to be like very skeptical of everything because she could be human. I'm taking it at its word. But at the same time, we have some freakish things going on. The triple log pose treat, the whole lot. So I'm taking things initially surface level for sure, but I'm gonna be eyeing things up very heavily. So Big Mom, for all I know, she's got some kind of fucking wizard, warlock, nether realm, DNA splice going on. She could be so. That's just me as the One Piece virgin. The new world is scary. I feel like Jogelson from Norway floating on his stick from Western Europe over to America in the year 1000. I just don't even know what's going on really, but I'm here for the ride.
In a world where giants exist, you never know if your great ancestor fucked a giant and there's a little bit of that giant DNA in your blood waiting to, activate after skipping 8 generations, and then suddenly you're just really big. It could explain everything scientifically in this world and make sense.
Brock Lesnar.
Any other top of mind thoughts on that before? Because we'll get to all of it in depth more later. Because I got more questions for you about all this Big Mom shenanigans.
Well, I'll just give a little more context for our fellow virgins out there. So, our good friend, Mr. Caribou, the Liquid Man, and I ain't talking about Ivanka Trump. If you know, you know.
Most of them will not know. That's a reference to bonus episode of us reviewing One Piece Movie 2, exclusively on this channel for the members of the Measly Crew. So if you sign up $3 a month, we're doing lots of bonus members exclusive episodes. You can get our opinions on all of the One Piece movies. Great plug, Eggie. Continue.
That's right. So he had been absorbing in his infinite void of goo all of the treasure that had been in the Fishman Island.
He's a swamp man.
Yeah, right. While everybody else was tending to, the total destruction of the island and all total Fishman death that was, possibly about to occur.
Total Fishman death.
I mean, it is what it is. That's not a dog whistle. I'm calling it.
Speaking of dog whistles, I had a great one in the bonus episode. I think I said around Captain Black's never relax. I don't even know when that could be a dog whistle too, though, because I don't speak dog.
That's right. Shout out to homeboy Chow Chow. We're happy to see you on the glow up from the last cover stories. But anyway, I say all that to say, Caribou gets defeated here. He has all the treasure relinquished, and the Neptune, he's like, you know what? You guys did what you did. You guys saved us. Go ahead and take that treasure. That's yours. So the pirates, they have all this treasure, and basically they're like, okay, we can make this right. We have no real ill will towards the Big Mamaverse. Let's go ahead. This 200 million, or these hundreds of millions worth of berries of treasure for you to understand. Oops, we accidentally ate your entire production of sweets. Maybe we could work this out in some type of way. And she accepts that on the accord that, okay, well, I won't take my vengeance out on Fishman Island, just Luffy because he ate all the sweets. Okay, he's willing to accept that. But there's a tamate box. That was
Tamate box.
It's part of this treasure. Turns out, once upon a time, it had them delicious energy steroids that we know and love. It turns you into Giga Chad.
And then it makes you become an old wrinkly grandpa if you take too many.
Just like real steroids, I'm telling you folks, don't take them.
If you're fueled by nothing but steroids and hatred, you will age horribly. One Piece, once again, just speaks truth to power.
That's right. Giga Chad, he is the exception, not the rule. You will grow giant nipples, go bald, and probably just be really unhappy. But after those went missing, it was just an empty tamate box that had been raided by, who knows, must have been Hody Jones probably back in the day.
Yeah, they had all of them, so that would make sense. They had all the pills.
Hey, but I mean, it could have got off the black market. It could have been, a bandit and goes here and there in the third place. But so after that, the tamate box was armed with an explosive in order to, really get a one-up on whoever thinks they're gonna. What
a weird idea! I'm gonna put a huge bomb inside of an empty box in case the thieves who stole from it decide to come back and steal. They want to open this box that's already been emptied out and will explode their face here in the castle, possibly causing damage to the fucking mermaid princess. Like, what the hell?
That's when you have a bait house, a bait castle, a bait car. That's the place or the object that you load with the explosives or the the other trickery. You don't put a lethal explosive like in the box that's just sitting next to the king. Probably. I mean, who am I? I'm not operating on fishman timing. Maybe they just get down like that. Maybe it's But so as they send off all this treasure with this bomb box that they're unaware of. Yeah, it's heading towards Big Mom with a big courtesy of Luffy and Fishman Island smiley face stamp on it. But, I will say this, as far as this volume goes, there is some speculation. Oh, well, that was years ago. That might be a misfire now. It could be, I
have that exact quote written down because it made me laugh out loud. But if you'll be to read that, I can.
Go ahead.
Because Neptune says, you planted this bomb a decade ago. Might it not fail to detonate? And the response kind of reminded me of like a Smithers and Burns interaction, maybe. He says, that's the spirit, your majesty. Like, just barely managing to have a positive attitude in the face of horror.
Yeah, because, obviously, if Big Mom is on the Whitebeard level of power to be one of these four emperors, Fishman Island, can a fish other breathe? Can he just, a fish man, can he just breathe out here, breathe with his gills and just take some time to relax and live his life without having these emperors breathing down his neck with their giant obese lungs? It's out of control. But so that's the context as to why this is going to be a problem. Is they got the stuff back from Caribou, not knowing there was a bomb in there, and sending it off to possibly kill one of the world's four emperors. Like the Straw Hats need any more reasons for their bounties to go up to like 10 trillion. It is what it is.
Oh yeah, would the government boost your bounty if you killed an emperor? Wouldn't they like celebrate you? They're like, oh, he sent a bomb that killed somebody who also has a high bounty.
Well, that's kind of, I don't want to have a second top of mind, but we get introduced to some possibly free-range Navy individuals who we've known and loved for a long time in this volume as well. They're saying that they do not operate necessarily on the Navy's standard code of conduct. And we get some other Navy background information as well. But I don't want to go too far and have my top of mind just be the entire volume. So I pass the floor of the ship to you, my good sir.
Okay, my top of mind, I'll do it lickety-split because I'm so excited for everything equally that we might as well just go through it chronologically, ASAP. We get Chimney and Ganbei in a cover story, S-tier characters as far as our, I believe, our exclusive members-only character tier list revealed. I think we said Ganbei was the best character of the arc and better than Kobe at the very least, as somebody said. So I was so happy to see Chimney and Ganbei, 2 years older and wiser, running the train station.
They were hating on the tier list. Is Kobe a master of anything yet? He's still an apprentice after
Master
quite a while.
of boring lore drops. Oh, any character could have done this. Garp could have gave us all this lore, but Kobe's just doing it to show off that he, has a nicer chin now? Boring. Ganbei, he was running around Eni's lobby, dodging Rob Lucci's attacks, helping Luffy not drown. Those are real hero characters to me. But no new members this week, no comments. Let's dive into the volume, Eggy. Going chronologically. And I think one of the opening big lore drops that we have to deal with is, of course, the cover story of 647. There's a cultural fusion in Skypiea. They now have pumpkin noodles.
Did you ever get so fortunate as to experience the pumpkin spice ramen that was, I think, introduced perhaps last year? It might have been 2 years ago, actually, now, come to think of it. But it's back on shelves now for the autumn season. Have you ever been so fortunate as to try that?
Is it really good enough for me to waste my time eating a fucking 3,000 sodium ramen?
Absolutely not. However, it also did, I think, between that and I think Trader Joe's has like some vegetable noodle type of things that they put out that might have like an autumn noodle with squash or pumpkin involved. That was where my head went to, even though, to be honest, it does say pumpkin noodles, but this is also pumpkin cafe, pumpkin style. I think there is enough plausible deniability to say this might just be noodles being served in a pumpkin and not necessarily formed of pumpkin material.
I don't know. I recall Skypiea Grandpa. No, what's the name of the god in Skypiea? Falcor? What's it? Gondor?
Yeah.
Gonfor. He was talking about how he loves pumpkin juice, right? So these noodles got to be made of pumpkin. And then we even see the Great Golden Bell is now surrounded by pumpkins in a pumpkin patch, and it's this idea Oda has of cultures that are completely different coming together to make something a fusion of something new and beautiful, and that's what humanity should be. Is there all these different people coming together in the great melting pot of Earth? And when I see this image of this great, symbolic, important bell surrounded by, perhaps, food of a different culture, I think, hey, if I went to visit the Liberty Bell here in America, would it be surrounded by illegal taco vendor stands? Like, just what a beautiful cultural assimilation of so many different things coming together.
Well, having been to the Liberty Bell, I can confirm at the very least there are food trucks on the streets in the area and a lot of diversity. I was eating their cheesesteaks because that is in Philadelphia, and some good cheesesteaks tubes. So
yeah, so Oda, he's painting a picture of a beautiful vision of the future that we're slowly embracing decade by decade.
Just like Gone For, I had my hair tied back in a ponytail. I was drinking as I wandered around, and I was doing a lot of this to people, as I was eating this delicious food of different cultures. So, yeah, it's basically the best I could have ever hoped for because, I always had a particular fondness for Skypiea. I really exalted it, perhaps even more than some would traditionally.
We both said it was the best arc for a long time.
With that being said, to get their update and to have, I think we get three or four different cover stories in this volume, so it's really a comprehensive paging through of the areas, the characters, and it's all really beautiful, and I'm happy that it is because obviously where the Straw Hats are finding themselves at in their adventures currently, not always the most peaceful and pleasant, so...
and let's keep doing these cover stories because, again, S-tier character Tangent reunites with his fucking family after 2 years of walking Aokiji's frozen path. I hope he caught up sooner than that, but still. The story is resolved from hundreds of chapters ago. Heartbreak has been cured. Favorite characters back where they need to be, surrounded by loved ones. Even Sherry the horse was happy, the loyal friend who waited years and years for the Stilts man to come back. Oda, just simple image can have so much resolution and happiness in it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just a thing of beauty. It's it provides such relief that you don't even think about it. Maybe so much you get so caught up in the here and now. And once it's really like everything's all right, everything's okay, and it just hits. And then of course, obviously, we also have as men, we get something that's really to our interest as well. We have Kokoro looking really extra special.
Oh my God.
Seashell bikini, pulling up with the bottle of Hennessy. It says Ume Kobu. That's a Hennessy bottle. I've drank enough in my time to know what time it is.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic here. Like, I get you're a mermaid and you can go underwater, but she has a newspaper and an open bottle of booze in her hand. Like, surely those things aren't waterproof. I don't know if your mermaid logic's working here. Is that a waterproof newspaper?
Hey, you know what? I'm sure the fish love, wine or grape-based liquor just as much as anybody.
Like, doesn't that ruin your drink when you're underwater with the open bottle? Does shit come out? It get filled with salty ocean water?
Well, my top reference for that is I think there's an episode of SpongeBob where he's like, they pour him a glass of something like out in the water and it just like floats off and then he's just like drinking the empty glass. He's like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah, they start their fire underwater. They have to fight a sea bear. Some good times on SpongeBob. Even
Speaking
better
of
times.
Beautiful women with liquor.
No, let me do it. Let me do it. Because Aggie, you're never gonna guess who met the Square Sisters. It's the Risky Brothers. That's right. Oh, special siblings meeting up, Oda, you genius! Oh, you just know from the moment he introduced the Square Sisters, he knew one day the Risky Brothers would stop in their bar. He just knew it!
Is the Risky Brothers about to become the Risky Polycule because they're loving the convo with the world's most desirable woman?
Is that horrible if Lola, the proposer, has to sit there and watch every member of her crew find love while she's still alone?
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. It's heartbreaking, horrible. But love can sprout in the most unknowing of places, and I don't know. I mean, I think possibly Mr. Risky Brother in the pinstripe with flowing lion's mane of hair is a man whose hairline starts at the back of my shoulder blades. I kind of feel like. But I mean, Lola, she's also, I don't know, it's hard to say, but at least she's got two incredibly, alpha males. I mean, if you're a risky brother, you don't play by the rules. You're doing your own thing, and women love that from what I hear. So I think love is in the air. The cover stories are just so packed full of goodness. It's a beautiful thing. I could cozy up with them. I could lay with them in bed and just like an anime body pillow and really just, I won't go any further in that regard. But
well, I think there's another character you might want an anime body pillow of because this volume was so jam-packed full of good content. We're somehow 23 some odd minutes into this podcast and did not even reference the fact that a man named Tamago has made his appearance in One Piece, a man his body's half of a cracked egg, and he speaks in meme language. He calls everything lay, just like we do from 4chan. It's lay this and lay that. Sanji calls him Eggman, straight up calls him Eggman. Eggy, I've done this joke a million times, but I'm dead serious. Are we not going to do a Tamago and Peckham's cosplay pair duo together? And I'll be the Turtle Lion Man.
You do be having that lion volume on the hair. To be honest, Tamago, I'm kind of built a little bit like him, even with shell
long
inside.
Legs. You're fucking 6 foot tall. Of course you're part of the long leg tribe. He's literally designed to be you. You're probably part French.
Well, actually, yes, I am.
You are Tamago, dude. You are Tamago. And as far as I can tell, he's not even an evil guy. He's just working for Big Mom. He does literally nothing wrong here. And does he even hurt anybody? He's just chill as fuck, just explaining himself, getting the job done.
I think Caribou only has conflict with Mr. Lion. Right?
Yeah, Peckham's just like takes the hit on his shell and then fucks him up. Yeah, Caribou, he has a rough time this volume. Everybody's beating on him. Luffy kicks him and punches him, and somehow like video game logic hits him so hard that all of his treasure spills out, which we don't get to see.
And, well, we'll get to it, but also I don't feel like he might have been defeated quite strongly enough either, because he learned something very bad for him to know with his devious ways, but we'll get to that, though.
Well, let's get to that right here in chapter 647, because Luffy's trying to destroy the Noah before it falls into Fishman Island to crush everybody, but it turns out, hey, you don't need to destroy it, because Shirahoshi can speak to the Sea Kings without her even knowing it, because it turns out she is the ancient weapon Poseidon, with the power of destroying the entire world just like the other two weapons. And I guess this power is just that a mermaid princess every few centuries can talk to and control the ocean full of giant Sea King monsters, which seems pretty fucking overpowered in this world, to be quite honest. So it's a good thing we have a pinky promise commitment to this character, and she's on our good side.
Yeah, it's considering that the first interaction was like we're inside the king's castle, and like
it's under siege, and we're being framed,
yeah.
and
right,
it all worked out for the best, thankfully.
So bravo to Oda once again on that. But something very interesting besides, because of course, yes, she's able to get these Neptunians to grab onto Noah and pull it before it has fully penetrated the Fishman Island bubble and caused total death. The Neptunians, who we can also fully comprehend during this part here, this is in 648 though, but they're like, oh, well, didn't that guy in that straw hat? Well, it seemed like he could even hear what we're talking about too. Like, what? But there's no way. It only
reminds
happened,
me of that other guy.
And then we get a cut to Gold Roger screaming, "What the? Who's talking out there?
Like, what the hell? Who the hell's talking out here? What's going on? Why are Luffy and Roger the only two who could also hear the Neptunians?"
Yeah, because we've already had the Amazon Lily. We know that Emperor's Haki is not completely reserved for Luffy and Roger, because we had, my beautiful love, Miss
Boa Hancock.
Yeah, Boa Hancock. They determined in the arena that he's got the same power that she does. So, and not to say that his Haki hasn't progressed, but hard for me to say at this exact moment that would be specifically the trait that would allow this sort of perception of Neptunian language.
Well, Luffy's always had a weird connection to animals. Like, he was having a conversation with Chow Chow back in Orange Town, and it was kind of just played off as a cute thing, but we don't know Luffy's perspective. Maybe he literally could hear Chow Chow talking back to him. For all we know, not to be too crazy, but if he could hear the voices of these giant sea monsters and he chats with the animals like they're talking back, maybe Luffy's just got some weird fucking thing going on.
Well, I like Luffy and I like animals, so if they're on the same side and able to understand each other, that's
and to be fair, it's not like this is the rarest ability. Like, Chopper's on the crew and he can talk to any animal, I guess, other than a Sea King. And maybe fish don't count, because I don't know if Chopper's ever talked to a fish, but still, it's not like him being able to understand an animal would be too crazy. Like, somebody on the crew could do it. The same way that, like, flying now is not too crazy, since Sanji can just airwalk, and we have Nami making her own Milky Way road to go over a wall of fire. So I feel like our characters have powers that we just have to accept at this point, that they could do all kinds of world-breaking things in a way.
That is true. That's absolutely true, yeah. So,
but with that being said, maybe Luffy cannot actually understand animals, and we're just conjecturing. The Sea Kings say, Shirahoshi, yeah, we have been waiting and waiting for you to be born. This ship was built for us to pull. And then every few hundred years, our sovereign is born as a mermaid. Eggy, what's up with all these fucking fishman ancient prophecies? So, hundreds of years ago, somebody made this tamate box and filled it with experimental drugs that make you strong and then age you. They left behind fucking Noah's Ark. They left behind this poneglyph from Joy Boy apologizing to a former mermaid princess. I feel like we need a 800 years ago flashback to really understand this arc better.
I'm starting to think that Fishmans were really the original people, because see, hundreds of years ago, somebody fills our treasure box with this drug, that, hey, here, Fishman, why don't you, my name's Fishnold Fishkin, and I think y'all should try this drug. It's going to be real good for you. And then all of a sudden, it's making them go crazy, making them get this unusual amount of strength. It's killing them. They Joy Boy. I mean, that sounded like a fish brother to me. Like I said, he's gonna be pulling up in the Noah, doing his thing. Hey, what's up, Joy Boy? He's out here. It's for my fish people, And all of a sudden, something happened. It's a missing history that somebody doesn't want you to know about. But no, in all seriousness,
Eggy,
though,
I think you're actually onto
strange.
something, and I'm not going to say anything based on like future spoilers. But if we just think about the world of One Piece, this is a world built for the Fishman. It's 98% like ocean and water. I could see 900 years ago, maybe it was only Fishmen on this planet, because we saw up on the moon, there's a city under the moon. Maybe humans are the aliens to this world, and they invaded, just like, in Skypiea, like a foreign, somebody from another world basically is invading and taking over and erasing our history, and we all have to live in fear. Maybe humans are just the invasive species aliens that and Fishmen went from we was kings to we have to live in the ghetto under the ocean.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, in all seriousness, there has been this racial parallel component throughout, the Fishman and their history. So just with the time I've spent online and reading certain things, listening to certain things, seeing certain perspectives, I mean, it almost seems like that could very well be because otherwise it's just, there's nothing I feel like that's really strong to go on right now, other than there was during the dark period, the unknown period before the formation of the world government, that there had to have been, I shouldn't say had to, I feel it's strongly possible that there was a manipulation of sorts to the Fishman environment. So I feel like it's definitely on the table, at least, for sure, all memes aside, yeah.
There's a lot here, and I think when One Piece is completed and we have full context for everything, people's estimation and enjoyment of Fishman Island will skyrocket, because right now we're just left with a bunch of puzzle pieces that have no conclusion, and it's not satisfying to just be left with mysteries with no answer for decades. And future arcs, I was getting a lot of echoes of a certain country that is named in this volume, Wano. People have a lot of problems with that arc that I don't have, because they're not thinking about the story fourth dimensionally. They expect any mystery introduced in Wano to be solved by the end of the arc. Reread Fishman Island. Reread any One Piece arc. He's always introducing mysteries that won't be relevant until the very end. So that when you reread the entire story after the ending, every fucking chapter is going to blow your mind with what he had, foreshadowed. So if you dislike Wano for those reasons, you don't even understand One Piece on a fundamental level. Reread Fishman Island. It's nothing but setting up mysteries with no payoff.
And I'll just say, I know nothing of Wano. It is mentioned in this volume as.
Oh, you know a lot about Wano now. What do you know about Wano? Let's jump to that, just for fun.
Well, the samurais of Wano, they are the most elite swordsmen. They are so they're elite. They're not even incorporated by the world government. They're just completely like an exclusive society, all their own.
Can you think of any real world examples of a country that like samurai are there? Maybe they have like a seclusionist policy towards other countries. Like, we're not going to let anybody come visit or go fuck around too much. Could Wano be based on anything?
North Korea, maybe?
That's right. North Korea. I can't wait for the Straw Hats to visit there.
The first time I ever got to see North Korea was homeboy Vexed putting the GoPro on and recording himself over there. RIP, after he passed away last year, the year before, whenever that was. But
you didn't see that documentary, The Interview? starring
I
James
never
Franco.
have seen it. I did never watch the interview. That is true.
They're honey dicking us. That's the only line I remember.
The
Okay,
line that's applicable every day, and that is what it is.
we'll get back to Wano, hopefully in a future arc coming up soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to keep going through all this juicy lore. Because as you hinted, Caribou is eavesdropping on Robin and Neptune's conversation. And he says, hey, I got this hot information about an ancient weapon. And I was hoping to have all these mermaids to impress a certain someone. Do we have any guesses? Who in the world Caribou wants to give all this juicy information to?
Well, you know what just immediately has to spring to mind is, I'm going to keep it real, when Doflamingo in the past volumes, he's communicating, or he was communicating with somebody that we didn't know, and it could certainly be somebody that's above him, but who do we know that's got that warlord status, that he's kind of separating from the main program, he's communicating with people who we're not familiar with, and he's seems to have a bit of a nature to him that he's very independent and he's for himself more than serving. Just like I guess all the other warlords are at this point, and the world government's not picking the best, but that's probably where my mind would go to about serving a foreign interest that isn't being directly named but would like to benefit from their underlings' work. That's so my instincts trend that way.
I think that's a logical guess right now. And then we're at the part where Luffy needs a blood transfusion or he's gonna die. This was set up with Sanji's nosebleeds. What a brilliant author Oda truly is. And we know it's illegal for a fishman to donate his blood, but it turns out pirates don't follow the law anyway. Jinbei with the amazing line there. Fuck all of y'all. Fuck your racist ass laws. I'm doing this in front of everybody. Let's do it. Strongest, best fishman here, setting the example for the children. Yeah, that's a powerful moment too, in a way. Like, I think symbolically, it's probably a lot stronger than it actually plays out in the scene. Because when does Luffy ever need a fucking blood transfusion after a fight? Like, come the fuck on. This never happens. But still, it's kind of beautiful in a racist way.
The title of the volume is The Road to the Sun, and in this transfusion scene, it is implied that this road to the sun is the tube of blood transfusion that's going from Jinbei to Luffy. It's kind of like it's, giving him that ability to see tomorrow, to see the sun rise once again. So I thought, I don't think I've ever heard in my entire life that a blood stream is referred to as road to the sun, but I feel like it's a very poetic and fitting description.
And I wonder if it was even more poetic in the original Japanese, or if the translation really nailed it, because that is pretty good. And then Luffy, you did not predict anybody would be joining the crew in this arc, and I think you were correct, because Luffy invites Jinbei, and Jinbei says, I would love to, but I gotta break off my commitment to Big Mom first. So just another reason for Big Mom to hate Luffy coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So no new crewmate, which, considering Jinbei currently has a higher bounty than Luffy, I can see why it's not time for him to be joining the crew yet. Is to throw off the balance, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like on one hand, entering the new world would be like a very fitting circumstance to bring somebody into the fold that might be, like batting a little bit more high overall, like power level wise than the rest of the Straw Hats right now. But it's also, I feel like, especially considering the temperament in which Luffy enters the new world, it seems to be maybe a bit on the reckless side. They might need to get a bit of a feeling for this area and for the circumstances that they're entering, and maybe kind of you gotta, what's the word? God helps those who helps themselves. So maybe Jinbei helps the Straw Hats after they help themselves a little bit first, kind of get their own footing, and then maybe that would present an opportunity that would be more to his liking to join, perhaps.
Do we think the giant scary creature, Big Mom, is going to take it lightly if Jinbei shows up in person to say, hey, I'm going to go follow Straw Hat Luffy instead? we might not see Jinbei alive.
I think that's definitely a possible circumstance that we could come to. But right now, I think another possibility would be that she gets bombed and it's a total all-out war. And Jinbei might have to say, hold up, no, this is what happened, da-da-da-da. Not that he would be listened to, perhaps, but at least, I think the Straw Hats would need somebody to help back them up as much as possible under those circumstances. So I think that could be something that's out there, too. I guess if she is not harmed by this treasure and things are able to maintain a smooth order of operations, I think Jinbei probably would stay in her service so long as that is what's going on. But it's also hard to say how long that might last. Everything is a bit volatile all the time. So, especially with the Blackbeard pirates out there still active and having the power and the hunting that is mentioned in this volume, that they are just going around finding anybody who has a power that Blackbeard is interested in killing them in order to steal their power. So if it makes me wonder, does he have like a weapon wheel of sorts, like of a which power am I going to use, or is he really walking around with like 10 powers deep? Because that's bad. But I'm hoping maybe it's a selection process.
So you took it that Blackbeard now has more than 2 devil fruits himself, and he's not just collecting them for his crewmates, but maybe he'll have like 10 powers in his own body.
Well, I felt like it was my understanding that he needed to have the dark fruits in order to be stealing a power. So if he's able to take a power and affix it to somebody else, I did not pick up on that prior.
Well, we don't know. We just they said it the way they said it, and it could be interpreted lots of ways.
Another way that I thought, just real
ahead.
quick, the reason why I would think if he is looting, I think is the word specifically used in the writing here, looting other powers, I feel like it would have to be also that he is able to retain multiple of these powers, because it's also specified that he has been conquering with the Quake fruit. So I don't think that he's just discarding Quake fruit power willy-nilly in order to pick something else up. It sounds like that's what his driving force has been. So he would need the option, I think, to have multiple if he was going to be looting for his own benefit.
I want to talk about Oda's answers to real-life racist problems, because I mentioned last episode maybe he's not giving us the best answers. We have, 70,000 fishman ghetto, from the ghetto part of town, fishman soldiers from Hodi's army who are just trying to take siege and revolution the kingdom. And they say, what are we going to do with these people? What's the solution? King Neptune, he wants all of these military-aged young men who are just trying to sabotage and threaten and kill all the royalty. He says, let them live here on Fishman Island with the rest of us. And the people say, word for word, Your Majesty, if those types are wandering around town, we won't be able to let our children play in the street again. And I know we don't want to get political on this show, and maybe I'm just seeing what the algorithm wants me to see, but I've seen some clips out of, I think it was the UK, where perhaps children are not safe to be playing in the streets, and that they have to, like, literally a 12-year-old girl had to defend herself with 2 knives from men of a certain background who did not always live in that country, recently might have moved in with morals and opinions from a whole other system of life and different values and a different religion, and maybe stalking up and creeping on these 12-year-old children in the street is normal where they come from, and the child protecting herself with knives was actually the one who got in trouble in that scenario, defending herself from a man. Sounds like a real hellscape that King Neptune is advocating for, and I would love to see how this works out, but turns out he has an answer. Yeah, do you want to continue?
Well, I was going to say, specifically to the UK's ends, there had been and I think this could be something that Neptune could go through possibly with his plan. They had, I think, 3 instances in the last month where they have accidentally processed like criminal sexual offenders to be released when they were like supposed to be sentenced to multiple years. They just like literally idiocracy where the guy's like, oh, actually I'm getting out today, and they're like, oh, okay, and they just like are walking him out. So there was the last one I saw from like yesterday or 2 days ago was he had been gone for like 5 or 6 days before they realized. So now they have like Benny Hill cops like running up down the street like trying to like find like the picture of this
Just
guy.
go to the middle school. He's probably out in the playground looking for his next wife to praise with Allah and all that. But the king, he has an answer to that question. We're going to let all these fucking weird criminal freaks from another city just take over our town? What? Neptune says, don't worry. They'll be forced to work under military supervision. So a labor camp, a forced labor camp, literally what Hitler did with the Jews and the gypsies. Yeah, they can live in our town behind walls with guns pointed at them. The military will just force them to do labor. Am I reading this wrong? Is this Oda's answer to racism? Is that when the victims try to rise up, enslave them as labor camp?
Well, I feel like basically this is really the fishmen. They're proud people. They love that they're strong and capable and they can breathe underwater and swim at super speed and all this stuff that humans can't. So I think you could definitely read it as a form of indentured servitude.
Yes.
But I mean, also at the same time, I feel like there could be a point of fishman pride somewhere incorporated. You know, maybe it's superficial, but I mean, this is, hey, you're so strong and you're so, you know, superior, so you're gonna do this. That's kind of technically indentured servitude, but you're also flexing your fishman strength. So maybe he could, his propaganda department could help, you know, little sugar in the medicine, so to speak, to help him, you know, deal with this, and then they won't want to try to actually like flip around the turnstile to get out and wander the streets of the mermaid enclaves and so on and so forth.
I want to see a movie in the same style of the film Zone of Interest, but it's about Fishman Island District living next to one of these labor camps. Yeah, no, they have it coming after what they did with Hody, even though Hody was threatening to kill them if they did it, if they didn't listen to orders. But they deserve this labor camp now. Sure, I guess Oda's right. I don't see any historical precedent why a labor camp is not the solution to any issue that you have with a group of people. Just lock them up, put up barbed wire, point guns at them, and make them create purses or shoes or something.
You know, just don't let any neighboring fish tribes accidentally, cut off your big mama sweet supplies, which that could lead to disease and starvation and all kinds of terrible things in these camps, because that's what we don't want. So
I think there's a plot hole in chapter 650. Nami claims she got a bit too tipsy. She's got some sort of hangover. That's not the Nami I know. Back on Whiskey Peak, she drank everybody over the table, under the table, behind the table, and then she was completely sober at the end of the night, just pretending that she got drunk, even after chugging way more than everybody else. So I was under the impression that alcohol does not affect Nami. She has a high tolerance. Maybe the 2 years she spent on Weatheria were sober years. Maybe they don't have fermentation up there, or whatever the hell you have to do to make delicious booze, and she's such a lightweight now. Maybe her tolerance was reset. That's my only explanation for why Nami, who specifically was written to be the biggest drinker on the crew, would have dialogue about drinking too much. Like, it just does not make sense in my brain.
I could also say, too, I think that is the most likely explanation. But with her tolerance to alcohol, I'm going to guess that had to do with her time with the Arlong Pirates, probably. There was probably a lot of consumption on the vessel. It was probably used to sort of mute and numb some of the pain she was experiencing in their midst. And so perhaps with being kind of going into this straight edge mode, she might have been, from the Whiskey Peak point moving forward, it might have been a path towards increasing sobriety, and that might have been, if there was no option whatsoever in Witheria, that might have locked it in for her to kind of go straight edge for a while. So I think that all tracks.
Looking at my notes, I was shocked that Caribou somehow learns that his entire crew survived. His brother and his crew's alive, and they're waiting for him at like the port or the harbor. What the fuck? Didn't their whole ship get demolished deep under the ocean?
I mean, I guess because all he captured were mermaids. It's not like he fucking like sucked up Wadatsu and he's like, oh no, wait a second, I saw him over there. And he didn't suck up any Kraken tentacles. Oh no, I let him go. You know. So I don't know, where he's getting this information from.
Yeah, I don't know how the information is true and how he's receiving it, but perhaps we'll never know. I was not under the impression as a One Piece fan that his brother was alive. I don't know if he shows up in the story again, so why did Oda even include this?
Just off of his appearance, and maybe that's a bit judgmental of me, but Caribou does seem to be a disturbed freak, so maybe he's just like,
I love Caribou.
Fishman Island, he's going around slurping up all the mermaids, slurping up all the treasure. It might be, his mind might not be in a perfect place, maybe, so maybe he's having some delusions, perhaps.
I hope so, because if the whole threat of, oh, it's so dangerous, the new world, and you gotta get in the bubble on your ship to go underwater, oh, it's so dangerous, to see somebody succumb to the danger and then it turns out actually they're okay, it lets all the air out of my balloon. Let these fucking characters be obliterated and die in a horrific way, and then he just callously moves on to mermaid hunting and doesn't care. That was so much better than, oh, my brother's alive and waiting for me.
I will say one thing, just a quick additional plug of the movie review bonus member content. In the recent movie that we watched, movie 2, there's swordplay going on, there's slashing, there's like fountains of blood spraying from enemies, and they're just like dropping to the ground in a heap. There's been some deaths going on, and they ain't afraid to shy away from it. So, manga, take some notes from this movie that's completely disconnected. But hey, I'm just saying. Speaking of our heroes, Nami and Caribou. After Nami, she's talking about her tipsiness that she has to work off this buzz. We get that lore that we love galore. From Jinbei, he's talking about the showdown for naval supremacy. Akainu, Mr. Magma Fist versus Aokiji, that ice cold player. They had to go mano a mano after Sengoku stepped down. And obviously, of course, we love Aokiji. He showed us some mercy, which is more than we could say about Akainu. So we'd hope that he would be the one that could take over and maybe lead to a better tomorrow, but 'twas not the case. Fire does melt ice. Akainu is the new fleet admiral. He's not admirable, in my opinion.
No. This is worse than when Umbridge took over Hogwarts from Dumbledore. Oh my god, Aokiji's Akainu's in charge of everything now? And they fought for 10 days straight, Eggy. Are we ever gonna have a fight in One Piece in the modern day canon of the story that lasts 10 full days?
I would think the only way that's possible is in this flashback style like this, because
shameful. I want it to happen. I want Luffy to have a 10-day fight now that it's been teased that people have the capability to go that long.
He's getting whatever power he has in the future. Maybe he could like do some spirit bomb stuff where maybe he's like putting his hand to the ground and like sucking up the energy from the earth or something to keep him going. He's can be very powerful and really expend a lot of energy, but I feel like he's more of a, an upfront sort of powerhouse versus somebody who can just keep drawing. But if they could do it, I assume eventually Luffy will surpass Aokiji and Akainu's power level of volume 66. So, I'll give him certainly a nod that it's possible. But after Aokiji was defeated and Akainu took his new rank, Aokiji, he's gone completely. He's totally 100% out of the Navy. He's wandering and nobody even knows where he's at, sounds like. So that's...
What are Eggy's predictions? Where will Aokiji next be seen?
Well, we could sure use them with exactly where we end up at the end of this volume because there's flame everywhere, so that would be the perfect time for some
Wouldn't
ice.
that melt his ass? Can ice be used to stop a flame?
I guess I should say, to be honest, I'm getting a little bit ahead here, but there's contact being made with the Straw Hats from an unknown source that's talking about, how freezing cold it is. And they do say that when we get to Punk Hazard, we enter on the fiery side, but it is both a fire and ice location. So, hey, maybe it was all fire. Maybe Aokiji's on the other side making it his own. I mean, he's got to be somewhere. He's got to have a home, so he can't just be wandering forever.
So you're drawing a connection. Punk Hazard, it's fiery. It's possibly icy. Maybe a connection with Aokiji.
I mean, a place that, is being conquered by ice powers. And seeing as we have Aokiji being a free agent, wandering without any idea where he's at, it might be a bit... I want to say it would be maybe beneath him to be at an entry point of the New World. But also, I mean, we didn't see him in the New World at all before. So if he's going to the New World, if he's been around there, maybe it's not so out of the question that he would be at an immediate point for any new entrants to run into if they're... Because this Punk Hazard was not even one of the 3 log pose options, right? From my understanding, Luffy just saw it and he's like, oh, yeah, let's go over there, and now they're over there. So there could be something to that as well. That if it wasn't coming up on a log pose, maybe that's an inkling that Aokiji has something going on over there. So
he froze its magnetic pull or whatever.
I think so.
Okay, going through to finish off Fishman Island, because I got a few more notes here of important things. Madame Charlie, who prophesies Luffy will destroy Fishman Island, she destroys her crystal ball, doesn't want to see any more terrifying futures, and she trusts Luffy even though she's never been wrong in a prediction before. So, she's ignoring, I guess, premonitions of fate and just trusting in Luffy instead, as we all should forever, no matter what happens in the story. Trust that Luffy will do what he needs to do regardless of what destiny or fate have to say about it. That's all I have to say about that. Again, yeah, this log post nonsense that Nami should have researched in Weatheria, but has no clue about. Just says the new log poses, there's 3 of them, and they point at 3 different places. And the more it vibrates, the needle, the more dangerous the island is. And of course, Luffy's excited. He wants to go to the most dangerous at every opportunity. So lots of great comedy of Nami and like Usopp crying at Luffy overhearing this information. And I love the drawing of Luffy's neck wrapping around all of Nami's body so we can look at the new log, the eternal pose or whatever they call it. No, I guess it's a log pose or a super log pose. But in the anime, I think they ruined it because I pulled up the picture and they make Luffy's face way more creepy than Oda drew it. They're adding like deep lines under his eyes to make him just seem really scary, when really Nami's more reacting in fright that Luffy will be directing them towards the scary islands, not necessarily just that his neck is wrapped around her. I don't think she cares too much about physical contact with Luffy. It's more the implication of the information he's learning. So that they animated it to make Luffy look scary was a mistake in my opinion. Because he said he has a big friendly smile in the Oda drawing. There's no lines under his fucking eyes to make him more intense.
That's never been his reaction to like an adventurous thing. He's always just, even back in at Impel Down, when he's smelling the good stuff down there that he wants to go find, as Magellan is about to drop in front of him. I mean, that would be a time, if any, to put on a different kind of attitude considering circumstances. And he's just like, oh, it smells pretty good. I'm just gonna walk up here.
Yeah, he even gets excited to eat some barbecue dragon later on. So he's always just happy, excited for the next meal, regardless. He's never tried to freak out and scare his crew with scary eye bag lines, okay? Anything else from Fishman Island before we put it on the tier list? Eggy. What do you think of this fucking Pinky Promise scene with the Mermaid Princess? Where even though Luffy's the only one who has really established a connection, and I guess Nami, because they bonded over their dead parents or dead moms. But the whole crew joins in on this pinky promise, and it feels like it's supposed to be maybe a parallel to the scene when we say goodbye to Vivi, and the whole crew holds up their arm. But at that point, the whole crew had gone on many adventures with Vivi, and we, the audience, actually like Vivi and wish that she was joining, so it is heartbreaking and touching when they say, no, you're always part of us, even if we're leaving for now. You know, like keeping this promise of their friendship alive through that symbol. And here it's, oh yeah, we'll take you for a walk on the surface, mermaid princess I just met. Sure. There's no depth to the relationship. Shirahoshi, as Luffy points out, literally is just crying in every panel she's ever in, so I dislike this character. I don't want them to fulfill this promise. I don't want them to meet her again. I don't give a shit if she gets to go up on the surface. Did Oda fail here? If he's trying to parallel this Vivi goodbye scene, did he just completely flop?
Well, I feel like we had more comprehensive stuff with Vivi, considering from Whiskey Peak to Alabasta and so on. I could also say, though, that with Vivi and her, with Shirahoshi and her power being used to call the Neptunians to pull Noah from crashing into the Fishman Island and killing everybody, it's possible Luffy could have just smashed it up and that it still would have been all right. But with how it played out, I feel like there was at least enough reason for the rest of the Straw Hats to humor the situation, and maybe they did feel, some legitimate way about it. Sure, but I think for us as the readers, I felt like it was missing some of those hooks that we got from our extensive relation with Vivi and her relation to her country, her kingdom. Because yeah, Shirahoshi is certainly not the brave and courageous princess that we got from Vivi, for sure.
It should have just been Luffy and Shirahoshi doing the pinky promise. The whole crew has no personal connection. There's no reason for them to be involved in this. And we learned in this volume, Joy Boy made a promise to a mermaid princess that he did not fulfill and had to leave an apology for. And then the destiny of, one day somebody will come to fulfill all this blah, blah, blah. And then we have Homeboy Luffy making a promise to a mermaid princess. Is it going to end up being that the original promise was the exact same thing? Mermaid princess, I will take you to the shore or to the surface one day and we'll go for a walk together. And then he could not fulfill that. And now 800 some odd years later, Luffy will do that with the new reincarnation of Poseidon.
One Piece is actually just some sort of time travel device, and it's all of this that's been set up of this unknown past was actually a past version of Luffy, and he's fulfilling his own self in a future time loop.
I've probably asked this before, but I'll ask again volumes later. Do you think there ever will be time travel in One Piece?
Well, when it comes to pirates that are promising things to mermaids, they're called Joy Boy. It's probably, I would feel like, the strongest argument for some kind of like proto-Luffy's existence so far. I mean, obviously, he's got a lineage, so it could have been just Luffy's ancestor. But I don't feel like necessarily, even if we're saying like, it was Gold Roger related to Luffy somehow, we don't think we have that inclination at this point at all. But if, let's just say hypothetically, or somebody that's similar, I don't think anybody's really just expressed this very carefree attitude that Luffy has shown us, that I think that we've seen. So it would either have to be an ancestor, or quite possibly maybe if not a persistent, like, actual go back and staying there, maybe at least some sort of rip in time. I think that the New World, with its crazy weather and crazy things it can do, could you could be going to an island and all of a sudden the magnetic field of the log post just completely disappears out of nowhere, and you're just like, oh wait, what? If that kind of stuff could be happening, I'd feel like a rip in time is not out of the question.
So there's maybe 5% chance that Joy Boy is literally Luffy, like a future version of Luffy gets sent back in time, and he doesn't even know that he's tracing the the steps of his own adventure in the future. Is that
Or
dog
even
shit
climb
writing,
up.
or is that amazing?
I just, I hope that we do get to learn of Joy Boy, and I hope that that it's not even Luffy needing the time travel. We can get like a Nolan-esque flashback of like the ancient Luffy of 800 years ago doing his thing. That would be pretty cool.
Would he also
regardless.
have the gum gum fruit?
Uh, well, I suppose he could. I would almost say that could be an opportunity to have him with a different fruit. So I wouldn't be upset probably if he did have a gum gum fruit just like current Luffy, but I would also have in my mind, okay, if this is something that's going to happen, there could be an option to have a little more variety. Give us a little something different, but keep that joyous demeanor all the same.
And the arc ends with a whole pot of laboons, baby. It's Shamu season, and all of these whales that they come across have the same forehead scars that Laboon has. And somehow Brook recognizes that, which I thought was strange. Like, I could see us as the reader being confused, seeing a giant whale with scars, like, oh wait, is that Laboon? But he remembers Laboon as like a tiny whale with no scars on its head. So that's a weird conclusion for him to jump to, just seeing random pot of whales. But why do all whales have these scars? Aggie, what's going on?
Well, that is a very strange question because we know Laboon, how did he get his? He's just smashing his head into Reverse Mountain and hoping that his people can hear him wherever they're at and come back to him. Maybe another reference to the Rip in Time. These are all Laboon clones from the time split, the universe.
Do whales hate the red line? Are they all just bashing their heads into it, trying to destroy it? Do they know something we don't know? Like, this thing should not be here.
And I went and just pulled up the panel specifically. And what's interesting is that, for what we can see, it's just the two foremost whales have visible scarring. And there's several in the background that have their heads visible with no scarring. And there's one that's kind of obscured by some of the action text that does not really have anything visible as far as we can see. So
maybe not all whales. Hashtag not all whales.
That's right.
Just most of them. Let's be honest. It's part of their culture. It's most of them.
Don't judge whales just based on what 98% of them are doing.
Yeah.
Reverse mountains and grand lines and red lines.
You've heard of a bad apple that spoils the bunch. Assume that there's a good apple in that bunch, okay? Just because most of the apples in that basket are gonna kill you. Like, it's like what Luffy did at Mocktown. He ate the one good apple. Be like Luffy.
That's right. So I suppose, it could be chalked up to just a standard like whale on whale conflict, territorial kind of thing.
Isn't it too big of a coincidence that we meet a whale who gets facial scarring from bashing the red line, and then we meet more whales on the other side of the red line, and they have the same scar?
That is true, because that's the only reason that we know Laboon has his is for his reasons of hitting the mountain. So,
is that his family trying to find him, and they're trying to also hit the mountain? I think Brooks or somebody suspects as much. Like, hey, do you know Laboon? As if they're gonna know. But then they love Brooks' song. Whales love to sing, so why wouldn't they love music?
That's true. I think whales, don't they have like one of the highest IQs of all creatures in the entire world? So that
was the plot of Avatar 2, is that their brain juice will make you better. But I think that's the end of Fishman Island arc, Aggie. 50 some odd chapters of peak One Piece in nobody's opinion. But where does it land on our tier list? Let's pull them up. What letter of the tier list are you thinking for Fishman Island, Aggie?
Well, I feel like it could be not necessarily like the highest. I like, it was a lot of build up for it. and it had a good payoff. I enjoyed really the environment and the entry into the new world, and it was very thought-provoking with the fishmen conflict and their back and forth, the political assassination of Queen Otohime, Shirahoshi being the weapon that could destroy the world. Really, just the whole entrance, the whole descent to Fishman Island, that was all pretty cool. Let's see. My trying to get my chat not showing up here that had the
You don't gotta compare it to the other ones. You go with your gut. Where does it belong on the list? You don't need to look at the goddamn list.
That is very true. I'm feeling probably like a low A tier, I guess, because it's got a lot of epicness to it, and it is very thought provoking, and it did have some enjoyable things. But I feel like just based on previously where we were really having this conflict with the Celestial Dragons, and we were having the Paramount War, and we were having the time skip. There was just so much kind of going on before this that this was a perfectly good arc, but I feel like it wasn't a step up. It wasn't like a continual, bettering every time. Like maybe we had a few that were really just building on each other. This is kind of a little bit of a relaxing as far as that goes, in my opinion, but plenty to enjoy and a lot of new and interesting things to consider. But yeah,
we have at the bottom of A tier, you have the post-war arc. Would you have Fishman Island above or below that?
I think that I could say that I would put this above that because I feel like this.
What about Saba Odi? That's next up.
That was pretty gripping. I don't know. I feel like. I think I'm going to keep it above post-war, but I'll say right now I feel like it's below Sabaody still because I feel like that just had some, I don't know. It's just a personal preference, I guess.
Yeah, Fishman Island, it's got some interesting things with its Otohime backstory and Fisher Tiger and Koala being the slave girl like that one commenter enjoyed. So there's little pieces of cool stuff sprinkled throughout it, but then we have a lot of wasting time with Hodi's shitty crew of pirates and their unfunny jokes that take up multiple chapters. We've got way too many tiny mermaid lolis making their shitty jokes that aren't funny. Shout out to Nika, but did you need the other four? One Nika would have been fine.
You could say maybe like I was fine with how the Noah situation was resolved, but maybe it could be stated, maybe it was a bit shortened, or maybe there could have been a little bit more to go on there if we were having before you had chapters where it's just full chapters of introducing these pirate fish generals that are all just withering away as dehydrated corpses now basically inside of a prison. Maybe there could have been like an extra chapter of kind of expounding upon some of something with the Noah. But I mean, I guess it was going to be resolved how it was going to be resolved, and maybe it didn't really need any extra bits, but just a thought.
As I look at my list, I'm thinking if I had to choose, hey, go reread Fishman Island or go reread Little Garden, I'd probably choose Little Garden. So I'm going to place it in B tier, below Little Garden and above Amazon Lily, because let's be honest, I'm not itching to reread Amazon Lily anytime soon. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but middle of B tier seems about right for Fishman Island for me. Considering it's the most hyped up arc up to this point, and we've been trying to go here for hundreds and hundreds of chapters, I feel like what we got during the arc is not as good as the implications that the arc will have on the future of this story, and I'm more hyped for the prophecies of Fishman Island to come true than I am to re-experience it as its own meal. So
it's got some of those things like well, I think you probably said it good enough, but I do agree, yes.
Yeah, lots of good mixed with choices I would not have made. I want the Straw Hats to be interacting and talking in ways that they just were not. Because I guess Oda wanted a nice hard reset on the characters in a way, and we're almost being reintroduced to them, but they're just doing the same shit they've always done. So mix it up, Oda. Hopefully in the future arcs, the Straw Hats will do something more interesting. Should we cover 2 chapters of Punk Hazard?
I think so. And speaking of doing some things that are a little more interesting, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, they surface in the New World. It's immediately absolute hell. It's like a tsunami going on, throwing them in the sky, also while volcanoes exploding.
The sky is full of lightning.
And yeah, the triple log pose, as you mentioned, gives 3 different options, and whatever one is vibrating the most is cause for the most danger or volatility of that island. So it's kind of like difficulty levels in a video game, maybe. Luffy, in his character, he just wants to go all in on whatever makes him feel like the best right away. Whatever's feeling to his needs or his desires. So yeah, he sees a volcano erupting, and they're saying, "Oh my goodness, we need to get the hell out of here." But no, he wants to go immediately into a sea of fire that is also surrounding this volcano erupting island. And I guess we forgot to mention, while they were down it, they had wanted something to eat, so they were catching fish down under the water, and they had caught one fish, which then was immediately eaten by a larger fish, which then was immediately eaten by an even larger fish, which is how they got sucked into this maelstrom that pulled them up and surfaced them. These fish, no good anymore, because the Sea of Fire immediately just burned all their flesh into non-existence, and they're just skeletons now. So possibly the most tragic thing that's happened in the New World so far is losing like 8,000 pounds of delicious fish meat.
Yeah, a crazy turducken with like 3 different kinds of species all cooked together in one. That would have been good, but the sea's boiling for whatever reason. I like when Luffy answers the phone and he picks up a scent of mystery in the air when the guy says, "Oh, we're freezing! A samurai just cut down all my men! Ah!" And then we hear him like get chopped and killed. And Luffy says, I smell a mystery. And Usopp says, "There's no mystery about it. That guy just got sliced to bits." Like, why are we pursuing helping a man who we just listened to get killed? Maybe we shouldn't go towards that island.
I mean, yeah, it's about as, especially with Robin being like, "Oh yeah, these alerts are just trapped by the Navy," and we have seen Smoker and Tasiki just very recently with their G5 unit that is this allegedly like lawless, results by any means naval unit. So pretty much the worst time to ever be falling into a potential naval trap. And that's not even to speak of all of the obvious environmental hazards. So you have the possible naval trap, the obvious environmental hazards, the man being murdered on the transponder communication. And we might as well just go directly into that. At least, I got to give props to Frankie here that for really no possible reason that I could think of, he has, in his construction of the Thousand Sun, he made it a fireproof ship. So very
it's got
smart on his
that
part.
special wood that he got on the black market. You got the wood that the Pirate King ship used, so it better be fire resistant. And maybe the Mini Mary is fire resistant too, because Zoro, Luffy, Robin, and Usopp go off on the Mini Mary to adventure on the fiery Punk Hazard, and we come across a fire-breathing dragon. Were we expecting to see one of these in One Piece?
No, it made me think of the talks of dragons in culture that we've had in recent months. I suppose I could have expected that there would be one in One Piece, but being in like a I guess I shouldn't say cyberpunk. It's giving me like RoboCop kind of vibes a little bit with the outside the facility, kind of giving maybe like a little bit of like Terminator kind of energy, just that sort of like 1980s apocalyptic vibe. But once they're inside, it's just literally hell. Like the buildings are not even charred, they're like melting into goo somehow. It looks like a giant candle, but it's solid stone. And I should say, prior to them even entering, Smoker is intercepting as Robin suspected. It wasn't necessarily a trap, but as far as we could tell, but the transmission was intercepted. Yeah, Smoker's just like, oh, they're going to Punk Hazard? All right, let's also go over to Punk Hazard. And the Marine's like, well, what the fuck? And he's like, hey.
Are we hyped for a potential Smoker arc? Might have Smoker as a main character in Punk Hazard.
I have to imagine it would be a beneficial environment, perhaps, to him specifically, because it probably doesn't matter too much that everything's on fire if he can just turn to smoke and float around.
Well, he fought Ace, and Ace firewalled him pretty good.
Yeah, I would say maybe like an active fire source, more so than the heat, but... And he's got his time skip, so maybe he's got some extra tricks up his sleeve now. Maybe he's more immune to that. It's hard to say.
The Smoker hasn't really been a main character since Alabasta. Are we expecting Punk Hazard to be an Alabasta-style arc if he's also returning?
I think there certainly is a potential for it, because how did we get introduced to Alabasta? We get there's the drought going on, the citizens are suffering, they're looking towards Crocodile to be like their savior essentially. And I think Punk Hazard's been closed off for such a time, they're still receiving a transmission from there allegedly of somebody being killed, allegedly. Then there's reason to believe that there is, despite this exiling of anybody from being able to go there, sectioning it off, that there's still been people inhabiting it and having some kind of conflict on there. So I think that would open a potential for, all right, we're here on Punk Hazard, there is a section of the populace or some person that's inhabiting here that is someone who could be our ally or who has positive intentions, and we could side with them to face whoever they're against. And then that could be have some echoes of Alabasta perhaps for Smoker to inject himself into.
When they're fighting the dragon, there is a question of are you with that Shichibukai, that warlord of the sea? So, and then we see on the Sunny, the crew is knocked out with sleeping gas, and some guys are talking about, oh, we got to take them to our master. So hey, maybe their master is this warlord. Maybe it is another crocodile situation.
Right, and I feel like pretty much we are in a mode. I don't think it necessarily is tying into the why am I blanking? Corduroy, what's his name? Mr. Goo Man?
Caribou,
yeah. I don't think this necessarily ties into my speculation that Caribou serves Doflamingo, but if we're talking about warlords, I feel like, unless there's been a new installation, that's certainly possible, perhaps.
They gotta replace Jinbei.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like there's something there, maybe, possibly, that this could be the preceding events to
a Doflamingo arc. Could be. But it turns out this dragon, maybe it's not actually talking, because the dialogue box was not pointed at its mouth in the first place. And then it turns out there's a pair of human legs wearing like sandals and, I don't know, a skirt or some sort of dress. And it's just legs. And its dialogue has poot in it a lot, like it's farting. So I guess we're supposed to believe that a pair of legs that cannot see or hear is communicating English through farts. To such a degree that they thought a dragon was speaking to them, and they didn't just hear farts that sounded like words. Is that what I'm supposed to take from this?
I guess I feel like this could be, I guess, there's really no reason to believe that he's got some kind of mouth or anything under there, because we do see like him kind of swinging and striking with his leg, and it's just the the gas little clouds are still just coming off of them to communicate. I do like how
anything in the history of the One Piece story that would suggest somebody can operate and function as just being a pair of legs?
Buggy, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Reconnect.
Might be somebody with a similar fruit to Buggy's, maybe, or Buggy awakened his fruit and separated this dude into pieces.
Yeah, it could be perhaps like a core of his soul or something is within this part of his body, and like he won't die so long as that's maintained. It's very bizarre. I'll just say that. It's kind of it is very unusual and really unlike anything that we have seen. I was almost thinking like, oh, when I saw him, he's going to reconnect with his top half somehow, or it's going to be that maybe his top half was turned invisible by something, and didn't really seem to pan out that way. No, it just seems like it's just
he's just
bottom half of a body that farts words. But he does have some what I would consider to be samurai-esque garb with his little thing, and he's got like the wooden sandals. He's got a sword sheath, I think, or maybe not.
The guy on the phone said there's a samurai cutting us all down, and then we meet a samurai that has evidently been cut down. Coincidence?
Maybe it could be like a situation where if he's cut, he could like transmute his damage onto his enemy or something. I don't know if we've had anything quite like that come up in this story so far, but I feel like I've seen media in the past that has characters with something like that. So really just some shot in the dark guesses here, because this is all very bizarre. A flaming, melty maelstrom of fire and volcanoes, dragons, half existing men that are farting.
Yeah. And then the volume ends with Luffy asking the pair of legs to join his crew. Eggy, honest prediction here. Will the pair of legs be joining the crew in any capacity?
I just don't think I have any reason to believe that at this time.
You didn't get any cultural osmosis or like a t-shirt where the whole crew's there and then there's just a pair of legs? You never saw that?
I don't think so. Maybe also I could say perhaps this is a situation where like a giant hammer came down on this person's head and like smushed them down into themselves. So maybe that's like why it seems like it's coming out of like a gaseousness, but it's just like their like bodies crammed in, and maybe that's part of their devil fruit power is like they have like the compressed fruits where that doesn't kill them to have their head crushed into their own ass.
Whatever it is, I hope we get an answer on next week's volume of the One Piece Virgin Eggheads Book Club podcast. Any final thoughts for volume 66, Eggy?
Well, I have to address this because it was put in here by Oda. There is a preview panel at the end here. And in this preview panel, it appears to be almost like a dragon type of person with the Straw Hats who were not on the ship on the back of this strange creature, and what appears to be a swordsman among some ruins of swords. Kind of gives me a little bit of energy of when Robin was in her time skip and she was off in that place she was in where the slaves were creating that area. That like a similar atmosphere perhaps, but really
Slave Bridge maybe.
Yeah, I would say nothing else about this panel is particularly spoilering for me. Like I don't get any immediate I see type of things about it. So I'm
very vague. Lots of details and yet vague all the same. Can't wait to see what that's all about next week. Eggy, anything worth plugging?
That's right. Go to usagovt.org. My new website that the government's gave me the green light for, because I told them that I'm doing it for the community. It just redirects to Dose of Your Lovin' still at this exact moment, but I have big plans for that URL. So mysweetmonkey.com is also still in existence, but the USA government brand. It's something that I want to work towards. So just keep that URL in mind, folks. I got plans for it.
Sounds good and not confusing at all. It's usagovernment.org.
That's right. I didn't want to go for .com. I felt like that. I want to really sell the illusion that this is an official government website. usagovt.org.
Yeah. There was a much simpler URL I suggested to you that was even cheaper. I don't know why we still haven't done that one yet, Aggie. It might be less confusing than the other two we've been pushing out. Do you think next week we'll have that one ready and we could let everybody know what that great idea was?
Yeah, I suppose probably.
I'll give you the $5. It was only $5 for a year. I think it's worth it.
I think that would probably be superior for podcast plugs, and if I want to create alternative brands, I could probably just push those on social media that in a separate capacity.
Yeah, in terms of like personal identity branding, it seems like the most obvious choice in the world compared to the other two choices you've been doing.
Much. The audience at this point has learned anything about me in the last 10 years that 11 years that I've been making videos. Whatever makes the most sense is not what comes to my mind first.
It's not top of mind. Well, hey, stay tuned. Maybe a mysterious third Aggie URL will hit the Twin Towers next week. One piece, people.